Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our City Commission meeting on this January 25th. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you join me for a moment of silence before moving to Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we will have roll call.
Commissioner Isasi.
Present.
Commissioner Ruppert.
Here.
Commissioner Lanier.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Present.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, and Commissioners, can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Moody?
Move.
Support. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to introduction of our interpreter. So if you need interpretation services tonight, we have someone here to support you.
Good evening. We're pleased to provide Spanish interpretation services this evening. These include interpretation during the meeting and for those who want to provide public comment. Buenas noches. Estamos complacidos de proveer servicios de interpretación en español esta noche. Esto incluye interpretación durante la reunión y para aquellos que quieran proveer comentario público. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so next we'll take us to our first opportunity for public comment. We have two opportunities for public comment tonight. The first one is public comment on items that we're actually voting on tonight. So before you in the agenda, you'll see a whole host of issues and agenda items that we talked about earlier today or that are on our agenda tonight. So the first opportunity for public comment will be specific to those agenda items. And then if you're here to speak about something that's not on our agenda, I'm going to ask you to stay put until I open up the last opportunity for public comment. So a couple things about public comment. We ask that you come forward to this podium here, that you share your name, the city that you live in. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. We also ask that you put your name over there on a clipboard so that it's recorded accurately in our minutes. So I'll open up this first opportunity for public comment. Again, this is on agenda items. So for this public comment period, we ask that you are explicit and let us know what item that you're speaking to. So is anyone here to be heard on agenda items? Hi, welcome.
Hello, Commissioners and Mayor. Thank you for your work. We really appreciate it. I am speaking in regards to the proposed development at 2080 Union.
Okay.
And I forgot my reading glasses.
Oh, that's okay. And if you want to start with your name?
Jim Norman, and I live on Union Avenue in the city of Grand Rapids.
Great,
Union
thank you.
Avenue Southeast. Yep. And having researched CLT models over the past months, it is my understanding that the core purpose of the Community Land Trust model is to revitalize disinvested neighborhoods struggling with issues such as low property values, high crime, derelict buildings, and that are seen as bad investment areas for business owners, while also creating and sustaining affordable housing. Garfield Park is not a struggling, disinvested neighborhood. Building a CLT in a neighborhood that doesn't struggle with the instability and blight a CLT is meant to address is a disservice to residents and the city as a whole. And it is incongruent with the CLT mission. Additionally, studies on the impact of CLT initiatives on the surrounding neighborhoods over a 10-year span affirm affordable housing programs in more stable neighborhoods drive down home values and decrease racial diversity, while new affordable housing programs built in disinvested neighborhoods increase surrounding home values, reduce crime, and attract businesses. One, I understand the allure of this space as it is undeveloped, something that is incredibly scarce in the city of Grand Rapids. I'm sure this simplifies the process and likely costs less than a lot that has buildings that would have to be removed. However, the research on CLTs show the project will have a negative impact here while squandering the opportunity to significantly benefit other neighborhoods of the investment and revitalization they need and deserve. I hope our commissioners will not approve a project that, according to longitudinal research, will likely have a direct negative impact on their constituents' home values. We must address affordable housing in Grand Rapids in ways that are effective and beneficial to all, and be careful not to make poor decisions that will squander an opportunity to serve our communities that are most in need.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Hi, welcome.
Hello, I'm Faith Norman. I'm a resident on Union of nearly 30 years. Tonight we stand in front of our elected representatives to implore that you consider the dwelling place proposal project from the viewpoint of the neighborhood. It is a diverse neighborhood in income levels, religious beliefs, races, ages, and styles of homes that are all built between 1920 and 1960. We welcome diversity. However, the proposed structures are not, as the City Planning Commission stated at the last meeting, they're not comparable in size, style, especially craftsmanship, with the existing structures. Neither are they harmonious with their proposed single-story, few windows, cheap-looking, crammed together, alleyway-like streets, sheds instead of garages. Need I go on? Yes, develop the land, but please, no, not this way. Would you recommend a single mom or your children to buy into a property where they pay an association fee like a condo, yet they only get 25% of their equity back at selling time? That's not promoting affordable housing. It's taking advantage of low and middle income citizens, not creating generational wealth. When I asked a dwelling place person if he wanted this in his yard, he would not answer me. Let's do it right. We already have low-income housing at Eastern near Wealthy, at Burton near Jefferson. Why not put this in a blighted neighborhood where there needs to be more development of this type? The City Planning Commission's Elizabeth Zeller said we should expect development, and we do, but we beg you to do it right and listen to the 120 people who signed a petition in November asking you to stop this dwelling place from going forward with this cheap but politically feel-good plan. We live here. It will affect the people who live here, our stability and our home values. We purchased our home with money from hard work. I lived at the poverty level for over 3 years. We purchased our home not suspecting that the zoning laws would be changed on us and a high-density development would be inserted into our desirable, unique, low-crime, established neighborhood. Will you help us find a real solution that actually puts low-income neighbors at a real financial advantage and lets them live in a quality home that is consistent with our neighborhood? Please look at the details. We beg you. Dwelling Place can't put this forward unless they have 42 homes. They said they can't get the government funding. Look at their plans. It's not what they say it is. And we ask you, please, for our neighborhood and the people who really live here and work and love our neighbors, look at their proposal.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, others who wish to be heard on agenda items? All right, seeing no others, I'm going to close that public comment period, and that will take us to our next item, which is approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Commissioners, can I get a motion?
Moved.
Support. All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments or changes? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. Next, that will take us to petitions and communications.
Just one communication received regarding police officers and Sandy's Donuts.
is received and filed. And that will take us to reports of city officers.
Comptroller's report for the period of December 29, 2021 through January 11, 2022 in the amount of $17,092,674.91.
That's received and filed.
And Treasurer's report for the period of December 29, 2021 through January 11, 2022.
That is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to our consent agenda. So our consent agenda are items that we voted on earlier today at one of our standing committee meetings where there was a unanimous vote. So tonight with one voice vote, we'll adopt those items. Commissioners, can I get a motion?
Moved.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, it carries. All right, that will take us to our ordinances to be adopted, and we have 3 ordinances before us tonight.
And the first one is consideration of a major amendment to adjust the boundary of an existing SD-PRD Special District Plan Redevelopment District at 2080 Union Avenue Southeast.
All right, can I get a motion?
Moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner Lanier, you want to tell us about this?
Thank you, Mayor. Before us, we have in a consideration of a major amendment to adjust the boundaries of an existing SDPRD at 2080 Union Avenue. On January 11th, the City Commission established today as the date to consider this major amendment. And this amendment would adjust the boundary of the PRD to facilitate the sale and redevelopment of a portion of 2080 Union Avenue Southeast, which is currently the unimproved portion of the property for its incorporation into a new PRD. As you all are aware, this item is a companion item to the next item. And so they've been taken in tandem. This change is one change, and then the housing structure is a second change that's a part of the 42 residential units for the next item.
Okay, great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any questions or comments about this item? All right. First word, Commissioner O'Connor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so I think I feel the need to speak to this. It's, it was, we've been talking about this for some time now. We've received a significant amount of feedback from folks in the community, both for and opposed to this development. And, we had previously approved this PRD to allow for the Samaritas development. And again, at that point in time, we had, we had both neighbors for and neighbors opposed to that development. And since that project had went forward, I've heard no negative feedback about what exists on the site currently. I think I have to take this whole thing in the big picture context, right? Like we know the work that Dwelling Place has done in our community for the past number of years, decades, and they fill a very important space in our community as we, as a commission, provide or insist that affordable housing is one of our top priorities. They certainly fill a very valuable space in that in providing housing resources to folks that might not have them. Then I also have to look at I see Mr. DeRue sitting in the audience, right? Like he, the new director at Dwelling Place, who has I think a strong track record in his time at Link in providing affordable housing opportunities in neighborhoods throughout Grand Rapids, especially on in the southeast side in both the 1st and 3rd Ward predominantly, and so. I understand that there are concerns about this. I also, as a real estate broker and former real estate appraiser, and I've spent lots of time looking at real estate in our community and understanding and learning about developments. Right? I give the example all the time that there was a project that came forward in my very own neighborhood. It was a 48-unit apartment complex on a piece of property that did not need a zoning change, and there was significant opposition from folks in my neighborhood. I live less than a half a block from this development, and there were concerns about parking, there were concerns about traffic. I heard a ton of the very same concerns that we've heard about this project. And again, that project's now 3.5 years old and been fully developed, and we've heard nothing since about the impacts that it's had on the neighborhood. I can point to no specific example in the city of Grand Rapids where a new development housing project has had a negative impact on surrounding housing prices in any neighborhood. I can't find an example. I wish I could, because maybe I don't wish I could, because I don't think it has negative implications. And so I respect and appreciate the concern. There is going to be a number of new people in a neighborhood and in a community that weren't there yesterday when this project is done. But I also know that those people need a house too, that we keep talking, we need housing at every price point. And this is new. This is a completely different model than we've seen at any point in Grand Rapids, right? Like, nobody has done this before. And so if not here, where? Is, I guess, the question I have to ask myself. That there's never, in a land-constrained community such as Grand Rapids that has been built out for decades, there are only so many locations where projects of this magnitude can go at this density. And I've said this for years, since you asked me to chair the Affordable Housing Task Force, Mayor. Density solves some of our problems. We have to embrace density, and it's like, density is scary. Density is not what a lot of us have become accustomed to dealing with in housing development in some of our non-core city places. But at the end of the day, density is how you get to scale to make these projects perform on paper and actually get to life. Because if they don't have the density, there's not enough return, and so they get, it's zero. So at that point, I have to support this project, because it's kind of, I think we as a city have to kind of put our money where our mouth is and say, do we believe in density? Do we believe in affordable housing or not? And in this instance, I do. And so I have to say yes to this, because it's paramount to, how we move forward. And hopefully this proves to be a model that works and can be duplicated in other spots in our community. So.
Thanks. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Rivera?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for those comments too, Commissioner O'Connor. And thank you to Jim and Faith for coming. This is your neighborhood, and it's important that we hear from you, and thank you for the email that you sent to us as well. I just have a couple of thoughts related particular to some of the comments that you shared, but also more particular about this project. Because fortunately, I've been sitting in this seat for 4 years, and the original proposal before Dwelling Place was involved for this parcel was more around 80 units and all market rate for that site. So this has come a long way from that point. But the couple things that I wanted to say is, when we first started the affordable housing journey, Ryan Kilpatrick stood before us and said, if you're going to achieve affordable housing in the city of Grand Rapids, no neighborhood should feel all of the weight of that change, but every neighborhood should feel a little bit of it. And we are building affordable housing in the disinvested parts of the community, but we also need to build it in the neighborhoods that are doing quite well. That's one of the things that we learned in those early days of trying to figure out how we could crack this nut here locally. With regards to Dwelling Place, they are one of our most trusted partners as a city, and I can think of a couple of projects that are closer to my home that they've done where they do a great engagement. I have a commitment from them to do 3 more engagement sessions with the neighbors around this, around what are the things, how is it going to look, how is it going to interact with the neighborhood. And so I'm grateful for their willingness to kind of go above and beyond with engagement. And, to Jim and Faith's questions, this community land trust is not a perfect model. And it is, and it's not as good as owning a home. It's certainly better than renting. And it is a mechanism that really only works, in the research I've done about it, in certain windows of time in the market. And it does provide a permanently affordable solution. So when we started that work around affordable housing, we asked our partners to get innovative. And so I'm thankful for a project that's trying something new. So absolutely, the concerns are real, and I don't want to gloss over that fact at all. But I do believe that this is what we've asked our affordable housing partners to put forward. They have committed to more engagement, and I do believe that the community land trust model is a third option, for people where traditional home ownership might not be possible, but renting, they're not building any wealth or equity over the course of that project. So it is a tricky situation, and I'll just say I'm in favor of the project. And just like with all the projects that we approve, we monitor it and watch how it rolls out, and pay attention as we make decisions in the future too. So thank you again to Jim and Faith for coming and sharing your thoughts. Happy to dialogue with you a little bit more after the meeting if you'd like, or we could set up a time to chat. But I just wanted to say those couple of things. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lanier?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, both of you, for your comments. I think I'll pick up where you left off with some of the dialogue that we've had regarding the housing crisis that we're experiencing in our city. And I think having a diverse pool of housing across the city is exactly what we've been preaching to the community and to developers. And I think this new model that's being introduced into our community is one of those things, so that we can increase ownership, because I think what we were seeing with most of the large density projects was rental housing. And I think we were also hearing the feedback that ownership was critical, but we also know that not every person is ready to own. And so this is another option for those who are kind of in the position where they may not be ready to own in a traditional sense. I think the other piece is the Planning Commission, and I'm not sure if Ms. Turkelson is here, but I know that as she was presenting this a few weeks ago when the Community Development Committee voted to add this to the agenda today, and subsequently the full commission voted to do that. You know, she was sharing that the Planning Commission shared with Dwelling Place that they would need to go back or come back to the Planning Commission or to work through administrative policy to address some of the concerns about the aesthetics and the appearance of the units. And so I was appreciative to hear that, because I think that it's important that no matter what the structure looks like, it definitely should complement a neighborhood and not stand out in a neighborhood. So I was really pleased to hear that the Planning Commission has already put that portion into what they've shared with Dwelling Place. And I think we're talking about it in this public setting from this body as well, to say that we are supportive of that, so that we can make sure that the community has input into what the structures will look like on the outside. And then I think, you know, what we probably need to do as a commission is communicate some of what you just shared, Commissioner, in a way that helps the community to not feel blindsided by this. I think we've been talking about affordable housing since I started. And we've had a number of bodies kind of working on this, from task forces to committees and things of that nature. And maybe what we haven't done well is make sure that the public is aware of what we are suggesting as options to bring to our city. Because, you know, if we've been asking developers to come up with this type of a model, and they've come up with it, and then the community feels blindsided or surprised by it, then we haven't done our job in making sure that we're sharing enough with the community about what we're trying to create. I think I'll close with what Commissioner O'Connor shared about being a landlocked city. So we just don't have the options in the city of, I think it's 17 acres, you know, where we can have those acres developed in any way. And I think because we're in a city where it's been built out so much, so it becomes an optimal place for this type of a project. And I think I'll also mention, like Commissioner O'Connor mentioned, that, you know, in my own backyard, you know, since I've been a commissioner, I've had, I think it was like 300 unit, but it's a rental housing. They're townhomes, and then there's also an affordable, that's market rate, and then also affordable townhomes, which were already there. And so, you know, I personally sat in meetings as a citizen, listening to developers share their story and what they're planning to do. And it is very challenging to be a part of that and not feel like you have the outcome that you're seeking. But we've also heard from other residents who have a different perspective of this project and wanting to have affordable options and affordable ownership options as well. And so I think we have some work to do on the communication side of what it is that we're trying to promote in our city with developers. And but I also appreciate your feedback, because it does help us to know what it is that we need to do as we're trying to communicate. I just wanted to say thank you to Dwelling Place for I know you've been in a lot of meetings and, and before a lot of bodies, as well as directly interacting with the people who live right in this space to kind of hear their feedback and making modifications. I'm hopeful that the structure will be a structure that will be later embraced by the people who live in the neighborhood, because I do think that's of value. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'll just make a couple comments before I call the question. So, Commissioner, thank you for bringing that up. I actually watched the full Planning Commission meeting when this was before our Planning Commission, and I heard the comments and concerns then as well. So, thank you for coming tonight. And I also listened to the conversations that our Planning Commissioners had, really trying to weigh those concerns and find ways to work with the developer to address some of those current concerns. So I appreciate you bringing that up tonight with a commitment from our planning department and the developer to do just that. And it's interesting, I was thinking about how long ago it was that we wanted to do a community land trust in Wealthy Heights with dwelling place. I was a city commissioner at the time, and we worked really hard. I spent a lot of time learning about community land trusts, really believing that it's a valuable tool for every community to have access to. And for a whole host of reasons, that didn't come to fruition. And so I'm actually glad that this valuable tool is being revisited, especially in a time like this when we know that we need to add housing. And the fact that this is home ownership, I think, is really critical, as we've talked around this table so many times, that we need to make sure that we have those options for families. So with that, Commissioners, I'll go ahead and call the vote. This is a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Asasi,
Yes.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. All right, that will take us to our second ordinance tonight. And as Commissioner Lanier said, this is a companion item.
Consideration of an ordinance rezoning 670 Burton Street Southeast and approximately 6.8 acres of 2080 Union Avenue Southeast to Sdprd Special District Plan Redevelopment District, and to approve a site condominium of 42 residential units.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner Jones, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, Mayor. As has been mentioned, this here is a consideration of an ordinance to rezone 670 Burton Street Southeast and approximately 6 acres of 2080 Union Avenue to Special Districts Planned Redevelopment District, and to approve a site condominium of 42 residential units. The ordinance would rezone 670 Burton Street Southeast from traditional neighborhood low-density residential and reallocate approximately 6.8 acres of 2080 Union Avenue Southeast from an existing PRD to this new Sdprd. This request is intended to facilitate the construction of a new 4-story office building and associated facility for Bethany Christian Services and 42 residential site condominium lots for the Dwelling Place Regional Community Land Trust on 2 new public streets.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? All right, this is also a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Commissioner Asasi,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. All right, that will take us to our third ordinance to be adopted tonight.
An ordinance amending Section 1 of the Budget Ordinance 2021-13 for fiscal year 2022, Amendment Number 7.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner O'Connor from our Fiscal Committee, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A few items on here tonight. First item is a grant from the Office of Community and Corrections and the Michigan Drug Court grant program for the Drug and Sobriety Court at our 61st District Court in an amount of $408,000, which the program totals $408,000 and $61,000 in funds. Item 2 is 61st District Court is receiving some coronavirus emergency supplemental grant funding in the amount of $159,845. Items 3 and 4 are related to ARPA, the American Recovery dollars that we got from the federal government, and they're going to fix 2 projects. One, both through our mobile GR department. The first one is to replace stair railings at our parking ramps, which have been deemed to be out of compliance with ADA standards. So that will bring them into compliance and make them safe again due to some deterioration. These are 2 of our oldest structures that we own as a city. that are parking related. And then the second is $300,000 ARPA for additional modernization of our parking meter program, which you see all over the city.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Lanier?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yep.
Commissioner Asasi?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes, it carries. And commissioners, can I get a motion to give this immediate effect?
So moved. Support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, that will take us to our last opportunity for public comment tonight. Again, this is public comment on any other item. We ask that you share your name, the city that you live in. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. And again, we ask that you put your name over there on the clipboard so that we have it accurately in the recording. All right, is there anyone who wishes to be heard? You can come right up to the podium if you want to be heard.
I'll sign that later. How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones. Stay here in the city of GR. First of all, I'm a proud citizen of the city. I believe it's a lot of opportunity here. It's the second worst city for economic development. And I believe where there is adversity, there's also a chance to change things. And just recently, I was nominated for award 2022 as the Compassionate Leadership Award. And I'm a very compassionate person. I'm an extremely passionate person. And I've given a lot to the city of GR. I've given a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and I can really say that I've put blood, sweat, and tears into this city. And it just really means a lot to be here. Like, all of the challenges, like, I really see an opportunity to potentially be one of the best cities in America, to be honest. And I truly mean that. And I'm a be here for a while, and recently I've been getting back into basketball, and that was something that actually really helped me, tell my story, and it helped shape me who I am. And it helped me really develop, character. It helped me develop more integrity. It helped me develop my leadership abilities. And, I really been getting into it, and now, the semi-pro team, the GR Fusion wants me to, potentially play for them or, work with them. And I'm president of basketball operations for a youth league. And crazy thing about this award, though, is if I happen to win this award, I'll get an article in Forbes magazine again. I'll win an award, and I'll get a podcast interview. And even if I don't win, I was one of 203 people that was nominated for this award. So I know if I keep working hard, the sky's the limit for me. And I just want to inspire people to really be compassionate and to really give your all in everything that you do, whether it's government, whether it's sports, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's equity, whether it's, bail and justice reform, whether it's criminal justice reform. Give it your all. Give it everything you got every single day, and stay determined and never lose your determination of what you want to do and achieve in life, because I really truly believe that if you put the work out there into the universe, opportunities will come. And if I don't win the nomination, I know I can make it. I'm 27 years old. I know if I happen to not win this award this year, I know where I can get another Forbes article if I work hard the next year. So that's what I mean, that I'm happy to be here, because if I don't die, I still got an opportunity to change. And that can't be denied, and I won't be denied. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Others wish to be heard?
Good evening. Lucas Leverett, First Ward resident. I'm here to ask the commissioners to lean in on a couple of topics concerning the evaluation of finalists for GRPD chief. First, the refrain of propaganda that's repeated often by vocal pro-police crowd is the fiction that GRPD is underfunded. In fact, they're well over their guaranteed minimum by law. They do not have a money problem, they have a priority problem. They say they can't hire enough cops and don't have enough now, but they seem to have no end to how many costly implements of warfare they're willing to acquire. And they seem to be able to spare 4 to 8 units for most traffic accidents and then allow them to stay for an hour or two on site. Evidently, this is a normal clustering at Sandy's Donuts, according to your agenda items tonight. And the jokes write themselves, but between that and these observed behaviors, I'm ready to call their bluff, and you should too. I came here from a city 3 times this size that did more with fewer cops per square mile, and if other departments can make it work, so can GRPD. The new chief needs to be told by this elected body and the appointed leaders to make do with what they have, prove further needs to be valid, and embrace overdue change. After all, that's what we tell teachers. The other issues these candidates need to be pressed on is the pandemic. COVID-19, not gunfire, was recently disclosed to be the biggest cop killer among population who was vaccinated before the rest of us, but many refused it. We should have these 3 chief finalists on record stating whether they're vaccinated or not, and their views of the attitude of cops who've refused, and how they'll handle such boneheaded resistance. Additionally, we need to challenge the manipulative characterization that this pandemic can be counted as an in the line of duty death when we're all exposed to this risk, often by the cops that refuse the vaccine. I know that there are those in this room that want to say, if you're critical of the police, hope you don't never need their help. Well, that's not how this works. That would be like saying, because I had to go back to get erroneous food or coffee order fixed, or deal with a rude grocery clerk, that I should be refused service from now on. Nobody made them take those jobs, and with public service comes vast public scrutiny. Even more if you're entrusted with deadly force. I hope this body will stand for the constituents in this room as we continue the long, painful journey of repairing hundreds of years of a broken profession. And I emailed all of you with these and more concerns. You've got mail.
Thank you. Others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Andra. I'm from Grand Rapids. I've heard you all address a couple of programs initiated from COVID relief grants for help with those who have been affected by COVID and have gotten behind on rent and or utility bills. But what I hear from the community is that they applied 3 months ago or more and are getting the runaround with no update in sight. This is shameful. We have millions of dollars we're sitting on for COVID relief to help people. I understand the bureaucracy of it all, but you're all giving yourself raises and you're hiring new city staff, so this is something that needs to be addressed. We need to take action. Grand Rapids is in a serious crisis. I'm tired of you pretending it's not. I'm tired of you smiling for the camera and claiming you're taking care of your residents and the issues we're currently facing when you're not. The 3 candidates we have to choose from for police chief are all awful options. I've researched every candidate along with the stats and history of said police departments they're from, and have also reached out directly to community members from each city. Just know that I know, even if I don't speak on it. But I will say, not one of them is a good fit for the city of Grand Rapids. You can make it look like you welcome public participation, but we all know Mark Washington has made up his mind already, long before the forum was offered, to give the delusion that we have democracy in this city. We don't. $54 billion police budget, and our crime rate continues to soar. The police get more money each year, and yet the crime rate increases. When are you going to admit what you're doing isn't working and you're wasting our money? I can't even count how many times I've witnessed them with my own eyes harassing black or brown people. Just the other night, I was sitting next to GRPD at the light on Franklin and Division when an officer shined his spotlight on a black woman who was just walking down the sidewalk, not doing anything suspicious. I watched him circle around the block, so I'm sure he intended to target her some more. Commissioner Lanier suggested we become cops in order to make changes from the inside. The fact that she was serious is not only laughable, but also offensive because it shows how out of touch you are with the systemic problems in what your community has been asking from you. Defund the police. Black Lives Matter.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, I'm Mark from Grand Rapids. I caught the tail end of this search for the new chief. And they had interesting ideas, but they didn't cut to the root of what we should expect from the new chief. Is the new chief gonna hold the department accountable for bad actions? Is the new chief going to challenge the police unions to not put bad cops in uniform again? Is the new chief going to hire black individuals who want to be part of the police department? Is the new chief go hire black females in the police department, which there are 0 of them? Is the new chief going to be in favor of the George Floyd Justice and Reform Act to eliminate qualified immunity? Those are the questions that should have been asked, and they will have to be forced to answer them. If not, it's just straight up lip service. Lip service get you beat. And we want, yes, curtail crime, but you gotta do it the right way. Can't be targeting individuals just because they look different. It's not gonna happen. Can't happen like that, period. Remove the name J. Edgar Hoover from the FBI Center in Washington, and remove George Wallace's name from the tunnel down to Mobile, Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close that opportunity for public comment, and I will turn to my colleagues up here, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to begin by congratulating David Marquardt, who heads up our Parks and Recs Department, for the approval on this morning of the Parks and Rec Strategic Master Plan. Also want to encourage all who are here, as well as those who are watching and listening, to share your feedback on the 3 finalists for police chief. You can do that by going to grcity.us, where a survey is available until 5 o'clock on tomorrow. And also want to state that I have full faith and confidence in our city manager and the process that he's laid out and his decision with regards to who our next police chief is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner O'Connor? Commissioner Isasi?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for coming tonight and for the briefings we had today. Thank you, colleagues, for speaking about the project that we just voted on. I think there wasn't much more that I felt I could add, and obviously where it intersected. That's the area I grew up just a few blocks away for most of my life. And I think that these are the ripple effects of things that we do today. We probably won't see them during our terms here. Some of us will be gone. But I really think that finding this, it's either good or bad. I think we are trying to utilize all the tools that we have to make affordable housing more prevalent in our city. So I wanted to speak to that. I will also say I had a chance to go to the police chief forum that was here. Hopefully people still know that they have time to turn in any feedback electronically or to call 311. I think this Wednesday is the deadline. I want to say that I think the process from the moment that we heard that the chief was going to be retiring, there was a candidate profile built out. There was, I know, feedback that occurred from people reaching out and talking through community groups that I think we have relationships not just because of the police chief hiring, but that's something that we seek to do all the time. And, appreciate people coming out and attending that. And I'll be watching as the city manager makes that decision. And I think that it's also one of those scenarios of, these are people feeling like, okay, what else is out there? What else we can do? I think that we have to be mindful of positions like this. This is in some ways a limited candidate pool because of the type of job it is and some of the other realities about where people are coming from. But I appreciated hearing from every one of the three candidates last week. I also want to take a moment just on something on a little bit lighter note and congratulate our colleague, Commissioner Sunita Lanier, on her award on MLK Day from the Urban League for as one of the 2022 Paul I. Phillips Presidential Legacy Award winners. I think that sometimes we forget that we are living through history. We saw that this year with our March Committee, some other things that you all have been involved with, and certainly Commissioner Lanier being the first African-American woman elected to this commission not all that long ago in 2013. So I want to say congratulations, salute to you. You stand in this good history as Mr. Paul I. Phillips was the first African-American elected official in the city on the Grand Rapids Charter Commission. Got it right. And just thank you for all you do in our community. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Repart?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight. I'm happy to stick around and have a conversation as well. And I will say this, if you didn't get a chance to come to hear the three candidates for police chief, it is still available to watch online. I was in quarantine, so that's the way I had to take it in. But if you wanted to hear what they had to say, it's a long video, but there's certain parts that you can skip forward a little bit on it. But you can go and look at it. And again, the feedback's due by 5 o'clock tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Lanier?
I'll be brief, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, for acknowledging the recognition. And thanks to all who came out tonight and sharing their feedback. I, too, am willing to stay and to have more dialogue surrounding the development project there on 2080 Union 670 Burton. But I'm very appreciative of the remarks that were made, and I think some really good, more feedback, I think, City Manager, regarding the police chief search. And then DeAndre, where hopefully you'll get that award. But, what I will say is, your when you mentioned your basketball skills, it reminded me of our team. Did it remind you of our team? It reminded me of our team when we played just before the pandemic against Reverend Jerry Bishop's team in our kind of community basketball challenge. And it also reminded me of when when the organization you were affiliated with won the Safe Pitch Night and the work that you've been doing in this community. So I'm hopeful that I think the nomination, as you put it, is still something to be grateful for, but I'm hopeful that you'll also get selected for that award. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk?
I don't know if I'm quite ready to hoop it up yet, but that was a good game and a good event, and looking forward to when we can do those events again. Just a note from the clerk's office. This is the last week at the City of Grand Rapids for Deputy Clerk Stephanie McMillan. She's going to be going on to Network 180 starting next week, and she spent 7 years here with the City of Grand Rapids, 23 years in in the clerking profession. She has been one of the go-to people and has served the Kent County Clerks, the West Michigan Clerks Association, and the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks. She was one of the reasons why I knew coming here to City of Grand Rapids as the clerk that we were in good hands with a deputy clerk who is more than capable to be the city clerk. She would be a good clerk about anywhere. So I wish her well in her new adventures, and the posting is out there for deputy clerk, so we'll be working on that over the next month or two. Daniel Kwame will be in the acting position. So as we're getting ready for a 2022 election and all the redistricting and stuff that will go with that. So I've been very fortunate over my tenure of clerk here and at Byron Township to have fantastic deputies, and it just makes the work easier when you have those people that you trust and can lean on. So thanks, Stephanie, for all work you have done.
Yeah, thank you. City Attorney? City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Commissioners, for your work tonight. I think I just heard Joel say he was going to show me how to do an open, transparent search process for the deputy city clerk. Is that I say that a little tongue-in-cheek because unlike any of the other 1,600 positions that we have here at the city, the police chief certainly is very visible among community, and for that reason, we do offer a very transparent process, both for recruitment and selection to the degree possible, as we still have to respect some of the candidates' rights as they're searching for a job. But I do appreciate the public and coming out last week and your participation, even this week, providing feedback. It is one decision I do not take lightly. I have not had a preconceived notion bringing the candidates in. I would have never wasted their time nor your time doing that. And so I appreciate the deliberation that other community members have provided, both who participate in community panels and other groups that had a chance to meet some of the candidates, from clergy to neighborhood-based organizations to nonprofit organizations and other individual leaders in the community. Thank you all for your feedback. I too want to congratulate Stephanie and her future endeavors, as well as Jordan Eatman this morning. He and Stacy Stout had an opportunity to give an update to the City Commission on the 2021 Neighborhood Summit and its outcomes and engagement, and I appreciate that work and want to congratulate Mr. Eatman in his new endeavor as Vice President of Experience Grand Rapids. So, and as well as all the staff who continue to do good work along with our community partners to make Grand Rapids what it is today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, City Manager. And I'll end just on a couple things. So I was thinking about this today. This is, since I've been around this table, this is the fourth police chief search that I have watched happen. I say watched because we all know that it is a position that reports to our city manager, and the decision is made ultimately by our city manager. And so I just want to take this moment to thank the city manager for really leading a thoughtful process that provided ample opportunity for public engagement at a number of points throughout the process. And I do believe that we have three strong candidates before us. And I appreciate everyone who has weighed in. I've heard from quite a few community members. I will repeat what Commissioner Repart said, that the video is still out there of the community forum. I encourage you to watch it if you haven't, and provide feedback before that opportunity closes. And then I also want to just highlight and thank our commissioners who serve on the Appointments Committee. This morning we were able to move forward some of the appointees to the Affordable Housing Fund. Again, as we talk about affordable housing, there's a number of priorities that we have laid out, and we're using a number of tools to try to move forward and meet the needs in our community. So I'm eager to have that up and decisions being made. Another thing we voted on today was additional support and funding to move forward with design for the MLK Park Lodge. So to our third ward commissioners who've worked on that, I was really eager and happy to see that move forward. And then I too was at the MLK breakfast, and Commissioner Isasi stole my thunder. I was going to congratulate our colleague, Commissioner Lanier. Congratulations. It was nice to see you and your work highlighted at that really important breakfast. So congratulations. And with that, we're adjourned.